Hello and welcome to the fourth episode of the Better Meta, the series where we take a comprehensive look at the competitive scene. And in today's episode, I'm inviting on a bunch of very capable players who have great experience with the Salamangreat list in order to discuss with us some key aspects of the deck and share some insights. Now, this video would not have been possible without some fantastic help from various European team members and great support. So shoutouts immediately will be going to ARG Europe, RJ Cards, E-Man Games, and you can find links to all of their pages by heading into the description. So without further ado, let's introduce all of the discussion members today.
Ben. Hi, I'm Ben Challoner. I haven't got any Premier tops, but I've got quite a few regional tops.
Jonas. I'm Jonas Koscher, and I'm playing a lot, and I came second at YCS Düsseldorf with Salamangreat. That's why I'm here, I guess.
I'm Raphael Nevin from ARG Europe. Please like us on Facebook, and
There'll be a link in the description.
Thank you, appreciate it. I top Düsseldorf, top 16 with Salamangreat, and I top 16 YCS Atlanta with Salamangreat.
You've topped everything.
I'm Sev Furtek, and I got my first regional top this season with Salamangreat. I've only been playing for just over a year and a half, so yeah.
Joe. Hi, I'm Joe, and I run the channel. So the plan today is to kind of discuss what it really means to master the Salamangreat deck. I think I'll start off by just asking some of the more sort of general basic questions. So we'll kick things off with why would you choose to play Salamangreat over any other deck at the moment?
It's the most consistent out of like everything, and like the wide board just like puts a threat out towards everyone else, and just in general, you can just generally just put out so much more advantage compared to everyone else.
Yeah, I think it's a really consistent deck and can play through a lot of different kind of stuff. And even if your first turn isn't that explosive, you can still set up a play for the next turn, and like every turn afterwards, it's getting even better. And only like a few decks can outvalue you over time.
I think the advantage of the deck right now is that it can make a Biz Dweller, which is
that can be destroyed. I'm not sure.
extremely good against meta, which is so unfair and so easy to make with cards like Foul. It's a big plus for the deck, I think, right now.
Yeah, Dweller scary.
Yeah, and I also think that Circle is a very versatile card. It searches like basically your entire deck. So
Land switch is like really dumb.
yeah, it's nice. The second effect does come up sometimes. Sometimes in the mirror, if they're going to spin your like your wolf back with Stalio, it comes up then.
In general, all the cards have like certain they have like negative parts because you can't always use every effect. Like of Foxy and Falco, you can only use one effect, but together they are so strong, and the interactions they put together, it makes the deck really shine, and you can remove so much of your opponent's board without even like committing a lot of resources, because like Stelio bounces a monster and Leo shuffles a back row, and you don't even have to like invest big resources in that.
Yeah, and the other good thing about the deck as well is the fact that it has its own built-in win condition with like Fusion of Fire and the Leo combo, which is actually really good considering that you can just do it off of like not many cards, to be fair.
Not many decks have like a way to set up a play for next turn every turn.
Yeah, it's true.
I mean,
and often the ones that do that are pretty like bad. It's like invoked. You could do that. You can do the same play every turn, but it's not great.
Yeah.
In a simplified game state, it's so strong because you can just wolf add back counter trap, and you're drawing a card every turn as well, so you're just getting that advantage, and you're able to negate 1-for-1 every turn.
So if let's move on to sort of the more technical aspects then. So we've had quite a good discussion of great things about Salamangreat. But one of the key things for a lot of the people watching will be like the ratios that are played. And especially at the moment, we see there's a lot of contention around Mining and Bufferlo. So what are your opinions on whether or not Bufferlo should be played, and how many copies of Bufferlo mining?
I've been like a big fan of Buffalo since the beginning.
Yeah.
I think one of the biggest things is that it's well, when it was at free together with debug, the argument for it was that it didn't get by Colossus. But now that
Yeah.
debug is at 1, you see a lot of builds just playing the 1 debug and Buffaloes. I think Buffalo is really good post side as well to draw into sidecar. It's just like if you already have combo, Buffalo becomes like a semi-win
Yeah, it's
condition.
insane.
But
If
if
you
you don't have combo, then sometimes it can be a little awkward because it doesn't get you to Gazelle necessarily. So that's the issue with it. But now you have 6 cards that search Gazelle, and then the free copy. So you have 9 Gazelles. So maybe now that's fine. You can just think most of the time I'm gonna have Gazelle anyway. And then Buffalo becomes insane. So yeah, I feel a bit double about it, but I really like the card.
the thing is with Buffalo and Cyanide mining, they kind of conflict with each other because mining works all the time, but it's kind of awkward if you don't have so many Salamangreats in hand.
What also is really good against for Buffalo is of course that you can chain block it with the Bailings.
Yeah.
So you never get Astringers. That I love that so much about that card. Otherwise it would be worse.
Yeah.
But that's really good about it.
My problem with it is when you don't have Gazelle, it's so awkward because sometimes you can't even do anything afterwards. Maybe sometimes you could discard Foxy and have a Spinny in hand or any level 3 or something, but it's not like a guaranteed play like Cyanide mining. So in my opinion, Buffalo is like the riskier thing, but gets you to a higher reward.
Yeah.
And Cyanide mining is not that powerful, but more consistent. And I still don't know what's better, running 1 or 2, because both have
Not 3.
some flaws and some strengths.
Yeah, I just wanted to say that I hadn't been playing Buffalo up until a couple of days ago, and I decided to put it in testing. And I had a couple games with it, and when I drew it with Spinny, it was nuts.
Yeah.
But the fundamental problem I have that if you only draw Buffalo, you do nothing. But if you draw mining, you get to Gazelle and you have combos as long as you don't get hand trapped. So that's why I didn't like it. But I think with the addition of mining, the deck has just got a boost in consistency.
It's cool you can even search Buffalo with Cyanide mining, so yeah,
that's quite strong.
Yeah, but if you're searching Buffalo, wouldn't you rather search the debug, to be fair, if you've got mining? Just out of curiosity.
The scenario where I search Buffalo is when I have 4 different Salamangreats in hand and nothing else, and you can just search Buffalo and you already have small a combo. You have Gazelle or you have Foxy, Spinny and something, and then you can draw into something else.
Yeah.
You can draw into hand traps and disruption and stuff.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
Yeah. So let's suppose you're playing the mirror match. The most likely type of hand trap you're going to draw is Veiler or Impermanence, because we see majority of players, or a lot of players, playing those 5.
Veiler and Impermanence do almost the same thing as Ash does. Most of the
Pretty
time.
much. You're hitting the Gazelle or the Stalio.
Yeah, exactly.
The only difference is Circle or Cyanide mining.
Yeah.
Yeah, and Ash doesn't work if they have foul on the Gazelle.
Yeah, that's nuts.
So there's no preference for hitting, say, the Stalio, because we've seen a lot of that in competitive streams recently.
I think there are 2 good ways to stop your opponent. Because the one is obviously Gazelle, because it's always good to hit it, or almost always good to hit it. Because usually in the mirror match, people nowadays try to go for Dweller, and Dweller is so strong in the mirror match. So you can either hit the Gazelle, or you can even wait for the Stalio. And I think in that, if you want to stop your opponent from using Dweller on you, I think you should wait for Stalio.
Yeah. I'd agree with that. I think if they normal just Gazelle, obviously you're gonna hand trap the Gazelle, but if they go for the normal Gazelle spinning player, I think hitting the Stallion is correct.
If they have only Gazelle and if they normal summon Gazelle, you obviously throw your hand trap on it, because that means your opponent only has Gazelle and maybe a second one. That's like the only thing I can think of.
The best hand trap, I think, or one of the best is the Phantasmato. That's like in the mirror. I mean, that's such a problem to get rid of.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's
2400 is too big for that deck.
Yeah. And also it prevents the Fusion of Fire OTK, which is
And like it's huge in the mirror. It's absolutely. Yeah, I mean it doesn't stop Dweller, but it's still like really hard to deal with.
Yeah, it beats over Dweller.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It does. Yeah, it beats over everything.
It actually does. It's huge.
That's why. Yeah, that card is really good against it.
When you open Circle and you're sending Raw because you have your Spinny available, in which matchups do you think it's relevant to use the Raw effect to reset it and add a Circle instead of just recycling Raw every
That's
time?
a good one. I think blind you don't add the Circle back. I think you always keep the Raw in case you need it for the turn after.
It also depends how you started. If you
it obviously depends on the rest of your hand. Like if you have so many Salamangreat.
Yeah.
If your hand is Gazelle, Falco, and Jaguar, like Gazelle, Falco, and Spinny, after you did your combo, you don't need the Circle. But
yeah. If you open with Stalio, Wolf, Counter Trap, and a Rank 4 or another monster, and Gazelle in hand, you probably don't need the search anyway next turn. So I would just try to get the Counter Trap in the grave again, so you can add it. So yeah, if you have Gazelle, you'll probably not do it.
It also depends on what other hand traps you have as well. Because like
if you feel safe, as you said, with the hand traps, you can just be like, don't waste your resources that fast.
I think in the grind game, I don't think it should be done regularly turn 1, if ever. But I think going into the grind game, when you're going to go Reincarnation, Link, Wolf, then set the Raw, and then add back the Rage from Graveyard, I think that is definitely an acceptable play.
Yeah, I think that's correct.
Because I mean, you end with 2 interruptions, which is quite good.
Yeah, it's better than 1.
Yeah, definitely.
Obviously.
100%. Yeah, and also it depends on like whether or not you want to play to like next turn kill your opponent with the Fusion and Fire play. So like certain pieces you want to add, for instance Foxy, or even the Foul if you haven't got to the Foul, or just like thinning out the deck as well if needs be.
So on the topic of Twin Twister, post siding, would you keep it in the mirror match? Because often it's essentially MST, right?
Very dependent. So, like obviously, like Twin Twister gets rid of any set called by the Graves and any of the set traps that they have, and just like stops them from interrupting you there. But like also on top of that, you've got to consider like what hand traps they'll have in their hand as well. Cause, like obviously they're going to be playing with like 1 to 2, maybe 3 cards to make their opening turn board. However, it's very dependent on like what they've opened at the same time. So I think like maining it could be fine, or like keeping it into the mirror match could be fine, but at the same time maybe just taking it out for that matchup and just putting in Super Poly or Fusion of Fires just to like bait out the game.
Or more hand traps.
That also works. Yeah, I personally dislike it in the mirror. I side it out game 2. I prefer stuff like Pancratops, and as Ben said, Super Poly is always great going second game 2.
It's just a win button going second, to be honest with you.
Pretty much.
Actually, I think Super Poly is even stronger going first. I don't know, because going second usually when we had like 2 or 3 months ago in Düsseldorf, no one was going for first turn Dweller in the mirror match. Everyone was going for like Counter Trap, Rage, and whatever, but no one made first turn Dweller. But right now, I think everyone is going for Dweller, so maybe now keeping in Twin Twister makes more sense, because usually they make Dweller and don't make any, don't send Raw and don't set up a Raw for your turn. And Super Poly versus Wolf and Abyss Dweller is not the greatest. So, yeah.
Okay, let's move on to another question then. So, we've talked a little bit about the mirror match, but what does that actually take if you want to be able to push ahead of your opponent in that particular match? You know, do you have to be drawing your super polys? Do you have to be setting up your dwellers, or are there other techniques to get ahead of your opponent?
Orcust is one of the best cards in the mirror, I think. Because it's also something that switches Phantasmate to defense, and it's really hard to out. So if you get Phantasmate during your combo, then Bagushka is can be like that answer, because then you just work them and you force them into weird plays in certain like game states. If they don't get to like one of the big links, most builds are not playing Cerberus. The card's actually pretty hard to deal with sometimes.
Yeah, I think in the mirror, if you know you're playing the mirror, I think the rank 4 play turn 1 is correct.
I think either Bagushka or Dweller are so annoying to get rid of.
So Orcust is massively being represented at the moment, and obviously Salamangreat counters it pretty well, because you just chuck tons of hand traps into your deck and you beat Mermaid and you win. What's the set way of getting ahead? Let's say you go second, you need to break the board.
I feel like the side deck is the main like priority, so like being able to like get to Prankatops and stuff like that to like bait out like the pop onto their Babble, so that they can basically just go force out the Orcust base.
Bufferlo is pretty good.
Simple as, but
Yeah, called by the grave stops Dingus as well.
Yeah. Also, popping Fog Blades with Twin Twister is always pretty good. Popping double Fog Blade is nice, so you can actually like play that turn.
Yeah, but I don't like Twin Twister always, because like it depends where they go for. If they go Babble, fine, but sometimes they go counter chip, or they already have that, and then like Twin is super weird because it costs 2 cards for nothing. Foxy can like then force out the Babble. So if you can get like if you get Foxy in the grave before like your Gazelle play, by using Foxy they have to basically use their Skeleton to summon Ningirsu, or they use their Babble, right? So the one Foxy can give a lot of pressure for 1 or 2 cards, so then you have 3 or 4 cards you can still play through the Fog Blades with.
I think it's really hard to say what exactly to do, because every game is different, and sometimes like I think that's what makes this, like, the usual combo with Salamangreat is not hard to do, but what makes this deck actually hard to play. But I mean, that's kind of true for every deck ever, is that you have to like figure out the correct way to get around your opponent's disruption and stuff, and to try to figure out the best way to play in the current situation with like exactly the opening hand you have.
And is there a lot of variation between the different opening hands as to how that plays out? Because the deck is so consistent.
Yeah, I think like when you play against Orcust and you open Called by the Grave, or that's really good because it stops the Dingirsu on your turn.
Yeah.
And obviously the hand traps like Ashes. I think Ash is the best one.
Yeah.
Maybe Impermanence second best one. I don't know, because it really depends on like what kind of Orcust they're playing. There's so many variations. There's like you can't always say this is the correct play to do.
Yeah.
It's not like in Spiral format. I felt like when Spiral was running around, there was like stop Helix and that's it. And now it's not that easy. I think
keeping Called by the Grave in against that deck going second.
Yeah.
Is just really important.
Yeah.
Does that make siding quite difficult then, because there are so many cards that are brought into the main deck, like all the hand traps and all the Call by the Graves?
Usually you're playing, since you're playing Salamangreat, you're already playing so many different hand traps.
Yeah.
I mean, you're playing. Usually people are playing 3 Ash, 3 Veiler, and then maybe something on top.
Yeah.
And Phantasme.
Yeah.
Phantasme also.
Yeah, Phantasme in my mind is
Siding prevent Prankatops, and you side out like the trap cards, and
Lancia is a good thing as well.
Yeah.
And maybe Twin Twister. I don't know.
I think Lancia is probably the best side for that deck,
Yeah.
unless they have cool play.
Yeah.
It's just, or they just can't do anything turn 1, and you should be able to kill them turn 2.
Yeah, and if they don't open card by the grave, you're like Lancia
Yeah,
is so broken.
you win. Unless
I
you've
lost-
completely bricked.
I lost today at Locust because I was playing Orcust and my opponent dropped Lancia on me twice.
Ooh.
So yeah.
Another thing that's like really important for the deck is like, so obviously the combo will take a lot longer than some, and like everyone will try and break the board and stuff like that. So like being able to play cards that essentially help you to just like finish the game quicker against that deck will always help.
Yeah.
And all that, but like sometimes they can play through the Lancia because like they can just end with a Dingarisu plus some other protection, and like it can just get them there sometimes.
So with all of these options that can come in against the Orcust deck, Team Cerebro's Tom Rose did mention in their last live chat that there's a lot of opportunity for people to overside against Orcust, especially given its popularity. Do you?
I would say that too if I play Orcust. No, I think most, like, if you depends on your main deck. Like in Salamangreat, like in this instance, we have like Phantasmaze and like 2 or 3 sets of hand traps and Call by the Grave in the main deck. You just side Prankertops and Lancia probably, and that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not like a big oversighting because all the hand traps you're putting in, if you're not already maining them, they're good in other matchups as well. It's not like
Yeah.
all the cards, like you say Prankertops and Lancia, they're both really good in other matchups as well.
Yeah, I don't think people oversight for Orcust because you're not
I
gonna.
mean, I would say that as well, like someone mentioned.
Yeah, no. No. It's probably
Ooh.
Quickly back onto the topic of matchups, I wanted to ask a question actually, is how do we beat Mystic Mind Striker?
It's one of the better decks against this because you get main deck reach and you have an out.
Mystic Mine is a pain in the ass to play against.
Definitely, it's a horrible card.
I'm not saying it's easy, but this deck has rage in the main
Yeah.
deck.
Yeah.
Like, it's not unwinnable, but it's a problem.
Yeah, it's definitely a problem.
It's necessary to side for, right? We can't just accept
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
What do you guys think about citing 2 more copies of Rage to put in going first?
I did that 2 regionals ago, and I thought it was really good. Because also Rage Dweller is a game against Orcust or Thunder Dragon.
Yeah.
So I was playing like multiple fouls, and then I think my friend Tim came up with this. Like, we just after signing, we would have Rage with Mind Fix, and like it's also really good against the combo deck going first.
Yeah, Tim came up with that. I saw it in the deck profile video and I was like, oh, seems like a pretty good idea, I'll try it out.
Yeah.
Basically blows out the mind deck completely, and like the M phase pop 3, if you get Heatleo on board, is just dumb.
Yeah, it's
I think the Mystic Mine Burn deck is not the problem, because that deck is pretty easy to
I've Mystic Mining in like Altergeist and Striker, like
or like any deck that does something except sitting on Mystic
yeah,
Mine.
let's disregard Burn for now because that's just not really relevant.
Yeah,
deck.
if you're playing against Mystic Mine Burn, you can just like do your regular play and make Wolf twice with Jaguar and Sunlight Wolf, and then make Heatleo with the field spell twice. So you can pop 3 in the end phase with Rage, and there's close to no way to beat that with the Burn deck. But Sky Striker instead, like, can just search Jamming Wave, and your whole like investment is gone.
Yeah.
I think you just have to prepare yourself differently for the deck. Like, I think you just have to put more cards in. Well, not more cards in, but like cards that are just versatile in all matchups.
I think game 1 is pretty bad against all the Mystic Mine variants, but after siding, people are respecting the Mystic Mine decks a lot, and if they are not maining Twin Twister, they're siding them at least. And people are playing Rage, people are playing Anti-Spell, which is insane, against that deck.
Would you say it's better out of Unending Nightmare and Anti-Spell Fragrance?
I'd probably say I'd say Anti-Spell's like better, like just as I flip it, it's my floodgate, I've made my board, can you out the anti-spell? Okay, next turn I just start just snowballing with all my other cards and just win through the fact that you can't activate anything. However, like at the same time, Unending Nightmare is a better interruption, I feel, because like you can hit obviously the wave motion, you can hit the Oracle if they play the Oracle, and you can also just hit the Mime of it, to be fair. And like if they activate it, they just
And then it's also much better going second. So
Yeah.
it's much more versatile.
Yeah, and it does something against other matchups. You can even side it in, like you can side it in against every back row deck ever.
Yeah.
Like Draco, Altergeist, Subterror, and Mystic Mine and Sky Striker.
Should Desires be played, and if so, how many?
if you don't draw like the initial play, I feel that like you just don't like benefit from playing Desires. However, like the card is basically you draw the play, you activate it after you've done the play, or if you haven't drawn the play, you activate it and just hope to God that you get to it. So yeah.
I think it's I hate Desires, but it draws 2 cards, so it has to be good. But whenever I can't really correct answer, but my answer is I wouldn't play it because I hate Desires, and whenever I don't need to play Desires, I'm not playing it. So,
Yeah, I don't either.
I'm yet to try it in the deck, but I want to try it, but like I just hate the thought of it. Like if you draw nothing else, you basically have to activate it, otherwise you lose either way.
There's also
like after your combo and before your combo, it can help you get to Gazelle or other place, but then Vanish Sanctuary or Jaguar, it's just you make life so much harder.
Yeah.
Losing Jaguar is so difficult as well. Like the match becomes an uphill battle, or like game even.
I think there were cases of people actually playing 2 Jaguar that have managed to top recently.
Yeah, but then you like make your deck more inconsistent just so you can play Desires, which I also.
But like even Jaguar, Jaguar is like the best brick, so.
Yeah, it's like we tried it as well, but it was like.
It's weird.
Much. I don't want to like waste so many spots in my main deck just so I can play Desires then.
Does that mean that it fulfills a similar kind of role as the Buffalo then? Because in the same way they're both really good when you already have cards, like have Salamangreat cards because you have the combo, and if you don't have it, you just hope.
When you asked the question, I was thinking about comparing it to Buffalo because I hate Buffalo as well. It's one of the cards I don't like. Because it's when you draw it with your combo, it's insane, obviously. But if you don't, it's so weird. Yeah. But sometimes that's the way to go like kinda greedy, because sometimes you can't beat other decks if you're just doing your thing consistently, but not like if you're not that powerful to break the board and then set up your own stuff.
Well, sometimes that's just how you win mirror matches, right? It's by having something in your deck that gives you more power than your opponent at a particular point.
Yeah, but like Buffalo gives you more power, but has like the downside of not being as consistent as like other cards.
Yeah, for sure.
Also, how about DD Crow? Not potentially in the main deck, but in the side or in the main.
Hit any of the Orcust cards, or like hit a Dingarisu, or even hit the Bardiche for the follow-up play off the Fog Blade is like really dumb. Hitting, for example, let's say the Nightmare to initially start their play is just like really good, I feel, to be fair, out of all the hand traps that there still are to basically play in the game right now.
If they have like extender like Mathematician or Armageddon Knight or something or Foolish Burial or something, they can still play again. But on Dingirsu it's really good, and in the mirror match on Jaguar, you win the grind game easily if you hit Jaguar.
Yeah, definitely. You remove Jaguar and the mirror becomes so much easier. They can't play they can't go off on their turn. They can't gain advantage.
But right now I don't know. I think DD Crow is a good one, but right now, since we have so many different Mystic Mine decks, I felt like I didn't have that much space for like hand trips for the mirror match, or like
it's really
you can't invest that much room in one particular matchup because there are so many different decks right now.
Yeah, I think for any like national championships, I think you just have to scout out the room, like try and see what everyone's playing. And on top of that, I feel like you usually need to make your like connections with people and just talk to people and just like ask them, you know, like, oh, so what do you think is going to be most represented this weekend, and then make the decision based upon yourself. What you decide.
I agree. I think there's so many different decks right now, and it really depends on the local meta game you're playing. If you're playing a regional in like Europe, usually your regionals are not as big as American regionals, so it's easier to like figure out what deck is being played the most and what are the good players. Regarding Foxy, when you summon it and use the effect, like when you have Foxy in hand and you don't have like a really good play, you have like Foxy Spinny, which is not bad, but it's not like the insane play, obviously. And whenever I open like Foxy and not a broken like combo with it, I'm always tempted to use the summon effect.
Because like obviously getting to Gazelle is one of your key engine cards. So like just using the Foxy effect for the special summon always get you to the Gazelle because you can make the Mirage Stalio. But then if they have the Ash Blossom, that's the issue. But then if they Ash the Mirage Stalio, then like it's a bit different. But like obviously you're not going to normal summon Foxy, try and get the Gazelle.
But for myself, when I was tempted to use Foxy, I always, when I search with Bailings, when I search the Sanctuary, I always look at the top 3 cards if I revealed something. But it happens to be like a lot in recent tournaments. Then I look at top cards and I see nothing, and I'm happy that I didn't use it.
I do that whenever I do test hands. I'll look at like, okay, well, is it like, should I have done it? Probably not, but
it always feels bad to use Foxy for me because it's such a gamble.
Unless you already have the Gazelle Spinny in hand, then it's just an extra.
If you
do I see do I see the trap? If so, yay.
Cool. Actually, thank you all for spending some time this evening to discuss the Salamangreat deck. It's been really helpful, certainly for me at least, and I'm sure.
Thanks for having us, Joe.
And